Okay, let's talk about something we all use pretty much every day, our cookware. We're going to dive into a question that's been bubbling up a lot lately. Are the pans we're cooking with actually safe? This is the great non-toxic pan debate.
You've probably seen the headlines, right? You hear phrases like forever chemicals thrown around, and it's enough to make you look at your trusty frying pan a little differently. So, is that pan you use for your morning eggs a forever friend, or is it a foe? That's exactly what we're going to unpack. So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get into the nonstick pan debate itself. Then, we'll look at what these PFS chemicals really are. After that, we'll check out the science of safety, explore the alternatives out there, and finally, wrap it all up so you can make the right choice for your kitchen. All right, Section 1, the nonstick pan debate. We're going to start by looking at exactly what has everyone so concerned about those forever chemicals.
So what do we even mean when we say non-toxic cookware? It's actually pretty simple. We're talking about pots and pans made from materials that won't leach nasty stuff, like harmful chemicals or heavy metals, into your food when you cook. That's the dream, right?
Okay, so why all the fuss? Well, it really boils down to a few key issues with traditional nonstick coatings. They're made with chemicals called PFAS, which you've probably heard called forever chemicals. And they've got that nickname for a reason. They just don't break down easily in nature or in our bodies. Plus, there are concerns that if you seriously overheat these pans, they can give off toxic fumes, and deep scratches might release tiny bits of plastic into your food. But, of course, there's another side to this whole story. The cookware industry has a pretty strong counter-argument, and it starts with the idea that not all PFAS are created equal. So let's take a closer look at the science they're pointing to. You see, PFAS isn't one single thing. It's a huge family of over 12,000 different substances. The industry's big point here is that you can't just lump them all together. It's kind of like saying all plants are the same. I mean, spinach is great for you, but you definitely don't want to eat poison ivy. They have very, very different properties. So, to make sense of it all, this huge family gets broken down into two main groups. One is called non-polymeric, or fluorochemicals, and the other is polymeric, or fluoropolymers. And according to the industry, this difference is everything. It's totally central to the safety debate. And this is where their argument really comes into focus. The fluorochemicals, those are what many consider the PFAS of concern. They can dissolve in water and travel around. But the fluoropolymers, the stuff actually used in nonstick cookware, are different. They're solid, they're stable, and they don't dissolve in water. So even though they're both under the same giant PFAS umbrella, the idea is that they behave in completely different ways in the real world. Okay, so with that key distinction in mind, let's get into the science of safety. What does the research actually say about PTFE? That's the specific fluoropolymer used in most of the nonstick pans we're talking about. Well, major international organizations like the OECD have actually classified fluoropolymers like PTFE as polymers of low concern. So what does that mean in plain English? It means they're considered stable, your body doesn't really absorb them, and they don't build up in your system over time. And it's not just regulatory bodies. Even the American Cancer Society has weighed in, stating that there are no proven risks to humans from using products with these coatings. They point out that while some concerning chemicals might be used to make the stuff, they're either not in the final pan you buy or are only there in incredibly tiny amounts. But what about overheating? That's a big concern for a lot of people. Well, the data shows that the safe temperature for continuous use of PTFE is 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, to put that into perspective, most cooking oils, like olive oil or butter, start to smoke and break down way before that, usually above 350 degrees. So in theory, you would probably burn your dinner long before you hit a temperature that would cause the pan's coating to degrade. So we've heard the debate, we've looked at the science, but what if you're just not convinced or you'd rather not even think about it? Well, good news, there are plenty of alternatives. Let's explore them. The alternatives really fall into two main camps. On one side, you've got the classics, materials that are naturally safe because they don't have any coatings at all. We're talking stainless steel, cast iron, and carbon steel. And on the other side, you've got modern non-stick options like pure ceramic, which is basically baked clay, or ceramic-coated pans that use a non-plastic sand-based surface. Now, for pans like cast iron and carbon steel, you can actually create your own awesome non-stick surface. It's a process called seasoning. The idea is simple. You heat the pan to open up its tiny little pores, rub in a super thin layer of oil, and then heat it up really hot until the oil bakes on. This process, called polymerization, creates a slick, durable cooking surface that just gets better and better the more you use it.
Now, to be fair, the cookware industry does raise one little caution flag about some of the newer alternatives. They argue we just don't know enough about the entire life cycle of some of these newer coatings to be sure they're a better option in the long run. They call this the risk of regrettable substitution. Basically, you don't want to swap out a well-understood technology for something new that might have its own hidden problems down the road.
So, we've covered a lot of ground. The debate, the science, the different options. The big question is, where does that leave you? Well, ultimately, it's your kitchen and it's your choice. So let's wrap this up with some practical tips to help you decide. Let's break it down. If you're cautious and want to avoid PFAS entirely, look for clear PFAS-free labels and think about going with stainless steel, cast iron, or carbon steel. Now, for any coated pan, if it's got deep scratches and you can see the bare metal underneath, it's time to toss it. On the other hand, if you love your nonstick pans, the key is using them right. Don't crank the heat to the absolute max, use softer utensils like wood or silicone to avoid scratches, and just follow the care instructions that came with the pan.
And that's really what it comes down to. We've laid out the arguments from all sides so you can make a choice that feels right for you. The final question is one you have to answer for yourself. What's the right balance of convenience and caution in your kitchen?